So we want to make the conversation as broad as possible. I don't know which one you're comfortable with, but we want to try and make sure the conversation can reach as much people as possible. So if we can please, just for the sake of others, some of them that are in diaspora and they have not been able to reconnect with the Yoruba language as they should, and they still want to gain some things out of our conversation. So if we can adopt English for the conversation, it will be graceful, sir.
Oda, kò sí láburú. Oda, sir.
Yes, sir. So I really appreciate you coming to the program today. We normally we have it in a conversation form where a lot of people just come up and continue to speak and ask different questions, and we just deliberate on it. But the last conversation we had, which was last week, we fell into a state of confusion probably, and there were a lot of questions that were left unanswered. And I primarily think it was an expert, a dedicated, knowledgeable, and grounded expert to give us guidance on those questions that were asked. You understand? And those questions particularly, they were tilted towards, is there any way that we can improve or innovate upon our Isheshe practice and Ifa spiritual practices? And there were a lot of questions in that line. Some people were talking about a different approach at the sacrificial system, the sacrifice and all of that. That one is not my personal opinion anyway. But one of the ones that I made note of and I wanted to really get clarity on was in respect to the Ikinfa and Opele usage. I believe that from what I have studied, that the Ikinfa as a divination system came first. Then the Opele came next as a much more faster system to cast divinations. So I felt like this is ideally what innovation seems like, improving on a system, because the Ikinfa, you have to put the palm kernels in one hand and continue to repeat it until you get the appropriate markings that you need. But with the Opele, you can just cast it and you can get the readings immediately. So I felt like this is one of the innovations that have been brought into Ifa, but it was done so in the time of our ancestors. So is there any way on this system that even us that we are now coming into it and trying to learn and study, is there some things that we can pay attention to and look at how it can be innovated upon? So this is one of the questions we had that were unanswered. So I just want you to take us through, number one, has there been any innovation within the IFA system? What does IFA say about innovation? That's the first question. Is there anything that IFA has said about innovation, even within it and outside of it? And then we can proceed with the other questions, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mo kí ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ mi Ifá olóòótọ́ ní Nàìjíríà àti ní òkè òkun. Ojú tẹ́ fi ń wò mí, ojú yóò ní fọ́, etí tẹ́ fi ń gbọ́ mi, etí yóò ní di. Tòfò tànù kọ́ mọ́ gbígbẹ́ wò wá kí tòwó tọmọ kó yálé ké sí gbogbo wa. Ní òní wọ́n tún ti béèrè ìbéèrè lọ́wọ́ mi, tí mo sì mọ̀ pé ìbéèrè tí wọ́n béèrè yìí, ìdáhùn rẹ̀ yóò ṣe àǹfààní fún gbogbo wa. Kí ni ìbéèrè tí wọ́n béèrè náà ni wípé Ifá olóòótọ́, can innovation works in Ifa and Orisa practices? Wọ́n ní ṣe nǹkan pè ní innovation, tá ń pè ní bringing up of a new idea to an existing one, ṣó lè work nínú Ifá? Ìdáhùn mi náà ni pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni. Nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀ tá ń pè ní innovation, nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀ tá ń pè ní improvisation, nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀ tá ń pè ní civilization, westernization àti evolution. Àwọn nǹkan yìí tá bá ti gbọ́ yé dáadáa, a lè understand wípé innovation ó máa work dáadáa nínú Ifá, improvisation ni ò ní work. Kẹ́lẹ́ bá gbọ́rọ̀ yìí dáadáa, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ wá nǹkan fìdílé, ká jọ fìdílé nǹkan. Fẹ́yìn tó bá yẹ pé ẹsẹ̀ láǹfààní àti ṣalábàápàdé channel wa yìí Olóòótọ́ TV, ẹ try kẹ́ subscribe sí bíbẹ̀ so that àwọn nǹkan tá bá ti ń fi sórí channel wa ẹ lè máa láǹfààní láti máa rí. Permit me to stand on existing protocol. Mo ṣe àbọ̀rú, mo ṣe àbọ̀yè, mo ṣe àbọ̀ ṣíṣe. In Ìṣẹ̀ṣe, before you lay emphasis on anything, it is important to give Iba, which is called homage. So on this premise, on this regard, I dedicate my Iba to Eledumare. Also, my Iba goes to the entire Irumoles, from Orunmila Baragbamirigun, the father of wisdom, to Obatala, to Shango, to Ogun, Eshu Olailu, who is the founder of innovation, in which I wanted to talk about tonight. Because the idea that people are now using today, Eshu Olailu is the owner of idea. Just mention the idea, and that is why we refer to Eshu as Abaniwara Barida. It is not Abaniwara Barida. It is called Abaniwara Barida, meaning that if you fail to think, if you fail to develop yourself, if you fail to advance yourself, if you fail to proceed in your research, Esholailu will surely put you through. That is why we call the Eshu as Abaniwara Barida. So on this premise, I give my Iba to Esholailu, my Iba to Egbe. Also, Moshiba Okunrin that will be listening to this program tonight or these hours of days. Also, my Iba goes to Obirin, to the young and to the old. Firstly, let me try to dissect what we are to discuss tonight. Innovation in Ifa. Yes, innovation in Ifa, it is as old as man. Because this innovation that we were talking about, its commencement does not start today. It is as old as man. And that is why I give kudos to you, the host, for stating the example of Ikenfa to Opele. That's what brought to that. Yeah, I will try to explain that. Firstly, because of those people who are layman, who are skeptic, for the sake of those people who don't really understand what Ifa entails. So I will try to start from simple, then before I move to complex. Now, what is Ifa? Ifa is a polysemous word. What I mean by polysemous is that it has more than one meaning, but it depends on how you see it. It depends on your perspective. It depends on your school of thought. Some people, they see Ifa as a definitory system. Of course, when we are trying to define, we are trying to seek for clarity for something that is not cleared. We are trying to shed light on something that is hidden. We are trying to disentangle from what is tangled. Now, that is Ifa as a definitory system. Of course, Ifa as a messenger of Eledumare, because we use Ifa interchangeably with Orunmila, because Orunmila is the custodian of Ifa. So, fortunately, we try to name Orunmila as Ifa. Also, Ifa as a mode of worshipping, Ibo, mode of veneration, ọ̀nà tá ń gbà fi ṣe ìbọ. To make it simple, based on my own knowledge, my own research, Ifa is a word of Eledumare. Ohun ni. Ifa is an esoteric word of Eledumare, given to Orunmila, dedicated to Orunmila Baragbamirigun for the guidance of humankind. But if I said for the guidance of humankind, it means I've tried to limit the powers of Ifa. Because in some Odufa, you will be hearing Orunmila difa fún Igbo, bush, Igbo leti. Orunmila consulted Ifa for ọ̀nà di ẹlẹ́ni. Orunmila consulted Ifa for ocean, lagoon, stream, wọ́n di ọlọ́pọ̀ èèyàn. Meaning that Ifa is applicable for both living components and non-living components. And that is why I usually said it to people that in Ifa, everything is living thing. It is because you don't know how to communicate. That is why we believe that some things are not living things. We ask, science try to say that we have living things and we have non-living things. But as far as Ifa is concerned, everything has life. For example, if you know how to communicate with water, you will realize that the kind of assignment that human being cannot discharge, that water will surely do it. For example, they said, omi ò lápá, omi gbégi, omi ò lẹ́sẹ̀, omi gbé èèyàn lọ o, ìṣòro ayé mi o, omi gbé lọ. Among we human beings, Who among us can carry other people's problem? But water, ocean, it can easily discharge the duty that human being cannot even do. Can we now categorize water, ocean as living component or non-living component? They are living component, but that is a story for another day. But in order not to squander much of our time, Ifa as an esoteric word of Eledumare, given to Orunmila Baragbamurigun for the guidance of humankind. In this Ifa, there is a lot of philosophy that Ifa connotes. There is a lot of teachings that Ifa connotes. Ifa taught us a moral. One ni kamuragba taragba iwa lanwa iwa. Kamuragba taragba iwa lanwa iwa. That is all what we want is character. Ifa tried to entrench this. Ifa taught us about our ways of life. Bo lati se Ifa ni ojúmọmọ kẹ́ni ó kíni. Babala ìkíni sálòdì ẹni. That is, if you woke up in the morning as an elderly person, the younger one are expected to greet you. Bọ́mọ bá jí ọmọ kí bàbá. Bí bàbá náà bá jí bàbá náà kí ọmọ. Boy aya bá jí aya kí ọkọ. That is to say, a good wife should try to greet her husband whenever she woke up in the morning. That is one of our ways of life. And it is one of the major advancements, the major advantage that Yoruba culture possess over other culture. Torí pé Yorùbá nìkan ló máa ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ kéèyàn. Yorùbá nìkan ni ó prostrate. In Yoruba settings, you have to kneel down to greet an elderly person if you are female. If you are male, you have to prostrate. And these practices was embedded in Ifa. Ifa said, "Wurukurukula yika, gboro la didobale." Ifa even described it. Now said innovation in Ifa. Firstly, what is innovation? Innovation simply means bringing up of a new idea to an existing one. Something that has been practiced. Something that has a laid down rules. Now, you now bring up a new idea to make that thing easy, to bring advancement, growth, development to the practice or to the practices. Yes, in Ifa, a lot of innovation. In fact, like I said initially, that this innovation in Ifa that we were talking about, it is as old as man. For example, in Ifa, there is something we call the Akoshefa, which is called Ifa medicine. This Akoshefa usually arises as a result of Ifa prescription. Ifa is the one who will prescribe Akoshefa to the client. Let me say client, because someone who needs your service should refer to as your client. Now, this Akoshefa that we are talking about, it is called Ifa medicine, which is the aggregation of Ifa knowledge, approaches towards the uses of herbs, some animal, some plant, and some other items available in the universe for the solving of human problem, to bring prosperity, to bring favor, support, or what have you. Now, this Akoshefa that we were talking about, it is as a result of innovation. In one Odufa, Otaorile Laworile, I don't want to chant much of Ifa, but I will try to chant because that is the only point of reference. Ifa ni Otaorile Laworile, Gbongborile Laworile, Otu yeri yeri awonu oko, Adifa fun Orunmila ba fun moju so gbere gbogbo. You see, in this Odufa, Orunmila was facing a lot of issues, especially financial issues. Orunmila keep on doing the dafa, casting is ikenfa. So Orunmila have been doing series of ebo, yet the situation still remain the same. There's no improvement. And don't forget that Eshuodara is the close friend to Orunmila. Now Orunmila now asks Eshuodara, what is the way forward? I've keep on giving appeasement to Yami, doing a dafa, offering to the different Orisha, following the instruction from the Idafa. Okay, Eshuodara said, Orunmila, I think there is much to it. That is why I said Eshuola Ilu is the founder of innovation. Anybody that come up with a new idea, he or she should give an accolade to Eshuola Ilu. If you are trying to come up with a new idea and you find it difficult to come up with something, go and give appeasement to Eshuola Ilu. Eshuola Ilu will surely give you a way out. Now, Eshuola Ilu said, Orunmila, I think there is something that we have to do. And that is the adventure of Ishola to Eledumare abode. So on getting there, Ishola was able to receive 201 Akoshefa, basically Awure. Awure is a kind of Akoshefa to balance economic situation. And on that day, Ishola was able to receive 201 Akoshefa, which is Awure. Now, on that day, Ishola now told Omila that it is not that your ebo, the ebo that you are performing. In fact, the way Babalawo was supposed to do it for you, they follow the protocol. It is not that the Babalawo are not competent. It is not that your Ori is against you. But you still have to learn some things. You still have to advance. That is the basis for my journey to Eledumare's abode to come up with Akoshefa called Awure. And since that day, Omila have been working with Awure. Now, what that if I really want us to understand is that sometimes you have to apply Eboriru to tackle some situation. Also, you have to apply Akoshefa, which is the Ifa medicine, to tackle some situation. What Ishola did is innovation. He come up with a new idea. Because if you take an Akoshefa, the aim and objective of Akoshefa is to bring prosperity. It is to help you to be victorious upon your enemy, to make your journey smooth. Then if you try to do Ebo, the purpose of the Ebo is to bring blessing, to bring prosperity, to bring wealth, to bless you with a longevity. Meaning that Akoshefa and Eboriru, they work hand in hand. They are for the same purpose. But Ishola will now come up with a new idea in order to make the ways of Orunmila to be simple, to the modern age that we find ourselves. If any Babalawo is not ready to apply innovation to what he or she is doing, I'm telling you, the Babalawo, his knowledge will be outdated. Because innovation is like upgrading an operating system of your computer or of your cell phone. If you fail to upgrade your operating system, automatically your cell phone, your gadget won't be able to perform some task. And that is the same thing applicable to innovation. For example, let's look at what we are doing tonight. We are trying to educate ourselves. We are passing information. We are disseminating information. I sat at my house in Oyo, Nigeria. I believe people are listening to us from America, from England, from Brazil, from Spain, and the likes, without even we seeing ourselves. But innovation has made this easy. But what are we doing? We are still trying to disseminate the knowledge of Ifa instead of us to follow the conventional system. But as a result of the technology, I don't have to go to my Oluwo again. I can easily call my Oluwo, maybe via Zoom, Skype, Facebook, and other means of communication, which it will surely make it happen. But don't forget, the content, the message that we were trying to disseminate, the knowledge that I'm trying to get, I'm trying to learn, is still there, which is the Ifa. So if we were trying to practice the so-called innovation, the message, the content, the concept that we were trying to do, it should remain its originality. We should not say because we want to use innovation, then the content, the substances that what we are trying to do contain, the innovation should not water it. And that is why I would like to say people try to misunderstand innovation to improvisation. There is difference between innovation and improvisation. When I'm innovating, it means the content that I'm working with, it will remain originality. For example, in olden days, when you want to keep your ikenfa, it is either you put it inside the ceramics, awama, or inside the wooden vessel. Okpan, ibe na man ko fa si, it's either keko sinu okpan, abi keko sinu awama. Now, innovation now come. We are now using the ceramics and lo awo oyinbo láti fi ko fa si. You will realize that the Ifa will still maintain its originality in as much the purpose that the awo oyinbo is serving is the same as the okpon. is the same as the awama. Do we understand? You know, in olden days, the house of Orisha, we try to beautify it with cow dung, butter, òun la fi máa ń palẹ̀ òrìṣà nígbà kan. In fact, if you are able to sleep in that room, I'm telling you, you will thought that they try to install an underground air conditioner. It will be so cold. But you know, innovation has now come to the extent that we were able to use cement floor, tile floor, marble for the house of Orisha. But don't forget, the Orisha that we will put here will still remain its originality. Floor is floor. But situation whereby what we are practicing, we've now used innovation to deviate from the norms. We've deviated from the principle. We've deviated from the laid down rules. You know what we are trying to achieve, we won't be able to achieve it. And that is why a lot of people, they were saying that Ikenfa, instead of casting Ikenfa, there should be an application that should be able to cast Ifa for us. If you use an application to cast Ifa for yourself, I'm telling you, you won't see a good result. Yes, because we should not forget that Ifa, there is a principle, there is a guides. Let me try to make a reference to one Odufa Irosunmeji. Ayere oku wo nikan soso ninu oko eru baba niju. Odijo tojo ba rohoro karere to dele ni. Meaning that when rain is falling, people will try to move back to the area that they've ignored. So those are the Oluwo who casted the far for Egbe Ope. Ọmọ bíbí inú àgbọn Mìrègún. Owó tí máa ṣe là nífá tí fá bá méjì máa tẹ̀ kan. That is where I'm going. That is what I want to pinpoint. Pé tí fá bá méjì máa tẹ̀ kan, meaning that the Ikenfa that we were casting, there is a principle that governs it. There is a guide. There is a law and order that supported it. It is not that Babalawo will just be printing one. There is a guide, there is a rule. The rule was Tifaba Meji Matekan, meaning that if the Ikenfa remains two in your left palm, you have to print one. If the Ikenfa remains one in your left palm, you have to print two. Meaning that there is a rules that govern it. There is a principle that govern it. Now, somebody now came up with an application that want to do Idafa with Ikenfa for us. Between me and you, do you think that application be so real compared to the Idafa in the conventional way? No, it can't. Because during the casting of Ikenfa with the traditional system, a lot of secrets usually come up. For example, when Babalawo are casting Ikenfa, they will be pronouncing the Odufa. Through the pronouncing and chanting of the Odufa, the person in which they are casting Ifa for may be even picking one or two solutions to his or her problem. But if you are using the application won't be able to do any preamble. It will just go straight. Okay, the Odufa for the divination is Ejiogbe, and that's all. Meaning that we can't substitute human labor to mention or to the application when we are talking about Ifa. We count. If I said we count if we want to maintain our originality. And you see, there's something that people don't really understand. There is difference between civilization and westernization. If we were mixing the two concepts together, we won't get it right. Civilization, it is as old as man. Broad development, it is a self-development. It is intrinsic. It is not extrinsic, so to say. Fún ara mi ni màá develop ara mi. Àwọn bàbá wa ti ní ọ̀làjú, òyìnbó kọ́ ló kọ́ làjú wá bá wa. We should give it to Ọbàtálá. Ọbàtálá is the one who taught us about aṣọ híhun, bá ṣe hun aṣọ, cloth weaving. Ọbàtálá ló já wọn bá ṣe hun aṣọ. Mo ṣe máa ń wá àwọn kan wípé wọ́n sọ wípé ìhòhò náà bàbá wa máa rìn, kò sóòṣà kankan tó rìn ní ìhòhò. Because ẹ má gbàgbé pé Èṣù ọlá ìlú is the brain behind idea, the way by which you will do things tó fi máa rọrùn. Ọtí ọkà, wine made from sorghum bicola, Èṣù ọlá ìlú is the brain behind it. Ẹmu, Èṣù ọlá ìlú is the one that taught Ògún Olúrànọlá. kindly take one of your tools, try and drill this tree. The water that is coming, that is called demo, you can drink it, you can use it to venerate your icon. Oti agadangidi, it is a kind of wine made from banana. Ishola Elu is also brain behind it. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that civilization, every society, every ideal nation have their own civilization already. And Babawa, we have Dandogo, we have Sokoto Kembe, we have Sokoto Atu, and the likes. Ṣé òyìnbó ló wá dé ló kọ́ wa bọ́n ṣe rán ṣòkòtò? Ṣé òyìnbó ló sọ fún wa pé ká máa dé fìlà sórí? Òyìnbó kọ́ o, àwọn bàbá wa civilization wọn, it is as old as man. But tá bá sọ̀rọ̀ nípa westernization, òun ni adopting or copying of a western idea, western ways of life. Tá bá wá copy ẹ̀ wọnú títí wa, òun ni nǹkan tá ń pè ní westernization. Èyí ni tọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn dẹ̀ ṣe kí ni tó ń dà papọ̀ nínú òrìṣà wa. A lè ṣe ń tán pè ní westernization kò work. Àyàfi a kàn lè lo as a means lásán ni. But tá bá sọ pé a wá fẹ́ fi substitute àwọn nǹkan kan pẹ̀lú nǹkan tá ń ṣe kò lè work. Òun ni bẹ̀lẹ̀ ti máa rí pé èèyàn tó sọ pé òun fẹ́ dáfá tó ń dáfá pẹ̀lú application. You want to do it dáfá and you want to use an application. You won't get it right. You won't get it right. You won't get it right. A lè sọ pé ayédáyé ọ̀làjú ká sọ pé a nídìí àtọ̀mọ́ sperm àti egg ká tó bímọ. We still need it. We still need it. So nǹkan tó jẹ́ original yẹn. Now fún ìbéèrè ibi tẹ́ wá lọ. Ṣé rí ìkìnfá àti ọ̀pẹ̀lẹ̀? Variation ò rí lè pọ̀ jù láàrin wọn. Variation ò pọ̀ láàrin wọn. If you look critically into ìkìnfá and ọ̀pẹ̀lẹ̀, you will realize that they follow the same trend. They follow the same way, the same pattern. Because the same Odu that you chanted, if you use Ikenfa, you will also chant the same Odu if you use Opele. So Orunmila just use Opele to make things easy for him. So in as much, Orunmila does not substitute Idafa with any other items. If you want to follow the practice of Orunmila, you have to follow what he do. Ifa said, and I quote, Ofika ofiko, òfin tí bàbá mi filẹ̀ ni mo fi ń sọ. Adífá fún Ọ̀rúnmìlà bàbá ó fi òfin ọ̀la lẹ̀dọ́mọ rẹ̀. Ìdí òfin ká òfin kó òfin tí bàbá mi filẹ̀ mo fi ń sọ. Meaning that if you want to practice Ifá, you have to follow the laid down rules. Yes, you can't just woke up one day and say, I came up with an idea. No. In as much, Ọ̀rúnmìlà is not the one that came up with the idea. But if you are talking about innovation in Ifá in a modern time, now, innovation has helped us to document Ifá. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, it has helped us to document Ifá àti lè kọ́fá sínú ìwé. But as a competent babaláwo, you are not expected to be reading Ifá from book. As a competent babaláwo, Ifá let us understand that àìgbọ́fá là ń wòkè, Ifá kan ò sí ní para. I'm not talking about those people who are not Babalawo. Babalawo is different from Ifa devotees. Babalawo is the one who studied the knowledge of Ifa, who can interpret the knowledge, the scholars. So we don't expect the scholars of Ifa now to bring a book. That is not the way Ifa was. No. Yet, we can document Ifa, we can archive it so that the knowledge will be passed from one generation to another. So as a result of innovation, we are able to document Ifá, we are able to preserve Ifá. You know, preservation, it is varies. Some people, they documented Ifá maybe through visual, through audio visual. People make videos to document Ifá. Also, the innovation works in technology. Yeah, technology use. For example, there's one mobile app called Scribe. You know, with aid of Scribe. Scribe serves as a mobile library where a lot of Ifá knowledge has been stored, has been preserved, has been kept for people to consult it. So we should try to appreciate technology because innovation helps in such a way. Education and global teaching, like I've said initially, you know, system of teaching and learning Ifá in a conventional way, it has to be you and your Oluwo. You have to sit down. You have to go there physical and learn your Ifá. But with the aid of innovation, You know, we were able to come up with the different ways, like a Skype, WhatsApp, TikTok, X app, and the likes. People are able to study Ifa. In fact, when you are sleeping, you can study Ifa. When you are walking, you can study Ifa, because we have an audio book whereby they will be chanting Ifa and you'll be listening to it. Or we have audio book. You know, we have to appreciate technology for making things easy. Also, in terms of ethnobotany and science, I, as an ethnobotanist, you know, there are some Akoshefa that we just accept their potency based on dogma. When ni o ma ń rí bẹ́ẹ̀, adẹ̀gbà kó máa rí bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni. There is no scientific proof for it. And in science, anything that you can't prove, we won't be able to authenticate it. Inodu Owonisogbe. Ifa talks about Ologesa. Ologesa is a species of bird. Tó jẹ́ wípé this bird, one face issue of epidemics. Tó ń pa wọ́n, they keep on dying. Okay, now Ologesa went to Babalawo. Babalawo, what is the genesis? What is the causes of this premature death? Babalawo said that it is as a result of illness that he will try to give them Akoshefa. Recipe for the Akoshefa is 200 Ewe Jogbo Andrographis peniculata. So the Babalawo used 200 pieces of Ewe Jogbo to mix the Akoshefa. Now, after the Babalawo prepared the Akoshefa, so Ologesa, he administered it orally. So what Ologesa realized is that the illness that makes them to die prematurely, the illness goes away, and they were blessed with longevity. That is Ifa. That is what Ifa said. Okay, how do we now want to accept this? In science, anything that is not empirical, science will not allow it. Okay, I now try to take the away the Andrographis peniculata. I try to carry out my experiment. What are the phytochemicals that this away contains that will be able to boost the immune, that will serve as immune booster, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antifungi, and the likes? Fortunately for me, I realized that Ewe Jogbo Andrographis peniculata is a good immune booster. It is because the immune of Ologesa was very weak. That is why the illness killed them easily. But this Ewe was able to build their immune system. Do you now realize that the Ifa knowledge and the science knowledge, they work together? It is not like a key and lock. So as a result of innovation, bringing up of a new idea, we were able to validate the knowledge of Ifa that, Ifa is 100% real. What Ifa said, it was correlated with what science said. Gastrititis was used for a barren woman who was unable to conceive. Unfortunately, the woman conceived in Nejogbe. Okay, we try to carry out our experiment that what are the phytochemicals that this a particular Ewe Ojoro contains that makes that woman to conceive. And we realize that Ewe Ojoro is very, very potent in order to combat any issues that related to reproductive organ in a woman. Meaning that any woman that is having issues with her reproductive organ, how is she going to conceive? She won't be able to conceive. But the Babalawo in Ejiogbe use Ewe Ojoro Pistiastritotis to treat, to heal the barren woman, and the woman conceive. Therefore, the knowledge of Ifa was validated with the scientific knowledge, meaning that the knowledge of Ifa is 100% accurate. You know, we were able to say this, we were able to prove this based on innovation that we were talking about, bringing up of a new idea to existing one. Yet, the knowledge of Ifa, there is nothing that we can use to compare Ifa. Ifa is always accurate. So, my recommendation and my conclusion is that we Oniseshe, we should not try to restrict ourselves. We should continue studying. Yes, we should continue conducting our research. Because Ifa said, and I quote, "Ino du ologbon meji, Ifa ni ologbon kan o gbongbon ko ta koko mi se ti aso, mọ̀nàmọ̀nà ko mọ ye pele, láyìn na ka o debile gbe pekun adifa fún la ba lo gbọgbọn le Ledumare." Ifá nle Akerefinu sọgbọ́n, meaning that Ọ̀rúnmìlà, before Ọ̀rúnmìlà could be referred to as a father of wisdom, it is not a day job. Ọ̀rúnmìlà keep on working. Ọ̀rúnmìlà keep on working. He keep on struggling for the betterment of us. We Babalawo, what are we doing? Are we advancing in our knowledge? Are we conducting research? What have we done? We should try to improve on the knowledge of Ifa. We should try to improve on the concept of Ifa. But anything we were coming up with, it should not try to simplify Ifa. It should not try to change the originality, the genuinity that Ifa contains. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So